Welcome back to the table. Pull up a seat. Let's talk about financial independence. After all, it's part of why this channel exists. As we get into today's video, I just wanted to take a minute and set this up. We are a unique story, and if I look a little weird, it's because I just came in the house from shoveling some more snow. What a winter it's been. This is what we do, though. This is a DIY life. This is how we approach everything, as much as possible, doing it ourselves. And that has helped us achieve a very unique goal, a financial independence goal, primarily on one income. With two kids, a lot of the financial independence community I see, they declare an independence only to say that their spouse is still working and has the insurance. We're doing this based on one income and a couple of kids. We've gotten them through college, and now we're at the point where we're on the other side, and we have achieved something I think that makes us unique here. No, there's nothing in here that reeks of privilege. No, there's nothing that started me out in a place where any of you didn't start. We started with virtually nothing, and going to school, we brought the debt with us into our real life, just like so many of you. And so as I start talking about some of the basic things that got us here, please understand this was a labor of love, and this was something that took us a lot of time. When I look back, this journey began when I was even a teenager, where I was really trying to save money and be conservative with my money, and also started businesses, mowing lawns and everything else, back when I was 12 years old. And so I've tried to be very responsible and scrappy for many, many years. But the thing that makes us unique is that we struggled on a basic income under $75,000 a year, often under $40,000 a year, with a family of four for most of our lives, up until 2010 or so. So most of the things that we've been able to accomplish have been done since 2010, which is a 15-year run into financial independence. This doesn't mean we've stacked millions and millions of dollars, but what it does mean is we've arranged our money in such a way that the cash flows cover our basic expenses. So, with that, we'll be talking more about these principles and the things that we've done along the way, but I'm excited to share this achievement and this story with you. It is not something I ever expected to be able to do. It is not something I ever expected to be able to talk about. It is not something I ever expected to be able to celebrate. I found myself intrigued by the financial independence movement, the FIRE movement, if you will, years and years ago. And while it was completely unattainable at that time, it made sense to me. The whole idea of not being at work every day for the rest of my life sounded really good at times. I derived high value from my career. I really enjoyed it. And honestly, there are days that I miss it. I've been out for 6 months as of this recording. And you know what? I'm going to go back in, but as a consultant. Full-time is not calling my name right now. There's a lot more things I want to do with my life. But I want to tell you a little bit about how we got here. See, this channel, we're talking about the things in our story that got us where we are. And there were a couple of key things that helped us achieve financial independence. So at 50, I ticked that box, and I worked 2 more years just to make it more comfortable, because just because I can fill my expenses with some investment income doesn't mean that's going to work longer term. And you know what? As interest rates have dropped, I have tested my numbers substantially, and it's gotten tighter. So I'm glad those 2 years were put in. There were a couple key steps that got us here, though. First and foremost, always living below our means. That's the easy button. That's the one you can understand. Buying as few things as possible on payments, buying as few things as possible that were outside of a normal reach for us, paying things off, which of course the average person that really knows finance would think we're nuts, paying off our house when it had a 3% mortgage rate on it. But at the time, I couldn't find other investments I really liked that were paying better. And I am somewhat risk avoidant. I am simply a very conservative person. So when I didn't trust the markets, we paid off the easiest thing we could, our house. Financial independence is really about having enough money coming in that you can service anything that has to go out. For us, that meant pay off the house, pay off anything related to the cars, or anything else you owe money on at all. It meant making sure we had no major outlays due for a while. The roof on the house is new. The college loans are paid up. There's nothing substantial standing in our way. Yes, there's always the risk of something going wrong at your house or a health problem creeping up, but accounting for that along the way is the right thing. Many of you out there, if you've gone through this, you've used a financial independence calculator like FireCalc. You may have used the Bolden software that's out there. I've also used that. But a lot of what I did to get ready was spreadsheets. And so I would plan as to how much money I needed and how much money was going out. And it landed here. 6 months later, we're doing okay. There's a lot of testing over the next couple of years that'll show us whether or not this is something that's sustainable. But at 52 years old, we're giving it a go. So what are the things that got us here? I mentioned living below our means. Obviously, planning was the second thing, as I told you about spreadsheets and software. What are the other elements that help you get to financial independence? Well, for us, we saved approximately 35 to 40% of our income every year for about a decade. That wasn't easy, but we found a way to do it. And because of that, we could put the money away into investments, into maxing out our 401k plans, into setting some money aside for real estate investing, which I've talked about on this channel substantially. That was probably one of the best things we could have done because real estate, of course, has gone up dramatically over the last decade. And so our investments into broken down properties, fixing them up, and then renting them, selling them, it's just been good for our bottom line. We've never taken a penny out, but from the 20-some thousand dollars we started with, if we were to sell our properties tomorrow, we should be able to net that much more from them. That's a lot of sweat equity. So what were the other things that happened along the way? Well, I also joined multiple startup companies. I took some risk. I could have been out of work. I knew a lot of friends who had gone into the startup world and the startups had folded. I joined one, and while I expected on equity as the company went public, we would get the equivalent of a house. It was $250,000 maybe. It really netted more like a Camry, closer to $25,000 at the time. It was great, but it wasn't life-changing. I then joined another startup. That startup went bigger, and that one sure helped put us over the top by cashing out a lot of that equity. See, I learned on the first one, I held the money longer. In fact, it was the second time I had done that. See, back in the year 2000, I worked with a company called 3Com. They had bought a company called US Robotics. They had a product called the Palm Pilot. And if you know anything about the Palm Pilot, it's the intelligent predecessor to the iPhone days. It was that little tablet in your pocket. They spun it out on their own, and that stock they gave us shot up. It was $65,000 in my pocket, and I was very excited about it, but I was going to hold that investment. You see where this is going wrong. Hold that investment to help pay for my kids' tuition. When I looked a few years later, I sold that stock for $264. Not $264,000, mind you, $264. So after that happened and the first startup really didn't pay out, this last one, every time I saw an opportunity, I cashed out on a quarterly basis, just sold it and reinvested the money. Real estate, mutual funds, whatever I could find, some private credit or private equity type investments, anything that made sense to get more money from it. And some people called me foolish. Maybe it was. But right now, as I record this video, I've sold my stock off at a 50 to 100% premium for the value it sits at right now. That is hardly foolish. Because of that, we're in a spot where we can think differently. Now, people keep calling me retired. I'm not. I actually burned out really bad on my career and I needed a recovery, so I took the time off. But in doing so, thank goodness we had planned ahead. Age 50 was where the burnout began. And by 52, I simply couldn't keep going. So around my 52nd birthday, I called it. And We've worked on real estate. We've done some light consulting things along the way, but basically we've been living off our investments and it's been going okay. A lot of it is sensitive to interest rate fluctuations because it's conservatively invested. And so I am a little nervous about what comes next as interest rates go down. I am concerned about putting money in the market at a time where there are some pretty serious fluctuations happening. But the things that got us there were taking some risk in our employment, taking risk in investing and learning real estate, taking risk in learning new technologies, and doing some safe things like living beneath our means and paying off our real estate despite a low interest rate at the time. Does any of this stuff still work today? I mean, cash is being eaten alive as an investment. Being conservative is not helping. I've missed out on a lot of returns over the last few years. Foolishly so, maybe. But I was nervous. Does it work now to invest conservatively, to pay things off early? Does it work to jump into real estate since the valuations have gone up so far? The answer is yes, but with a caution flag. I wouldn't do it the same way. See, jumping into startups and working for equity, I can still endorse that. There's a lot of great things happening with AI in particular right now, and so that's still a good place to be. Living beneath your means, always beneficial. There's no time where that hasn't worked since ancient history. You can go back to the Proverbs that Solomon wrote, and it's true. When you owe someone else money, you're working to pay them. It feels good when you get out of it. Paying things off early always pays off. Where things get kind of dicey is, can you still invest in real estate the same way? Does it make sense to still buy an older car? Yes and no. See, automotive repairs have gotten more expensive. Sourcing things has gotten more difficult. And yet I believe that the older cars are better. Something built before 2018 or so is more likely to be serviceable for a longer run than the newer cars. I saw that the valve covers on a 2009 Honda Odyssey, the same engine is now in my 2024 Honda Ridgeline, but they're plastic. They've gone from aluminum to plastic. You can't tell me the longevity will be there. I've had my brake rotors go bad on multiple vehicles before 15,000 miles. My old cars didn't do that. My new ones do. And so it does kind of make sense to stick with an older car. Real estate, however, is the money is made on the purchase. It is made when you get an affordable one. And I think we're coming back into a season where there will be affordable, beat-up homes coming back to market. Foreclosures will rise, and we will see some more opportunities to buy houses. But for right now, we've been sidelined for a couple years. We've only had one house that we bought. We've been very careful because the time that it takes and the money that it takes is much more severe now than it used to be to get these houses fixed up. And with the cost of materials where they are, what we did won't work nearly as fast. And so that's where I'd wave my caution flag right now. Go after the equity. Go after paying things down. Go after being conservative with your money, but take more risks than I did. Just be careful trying to put them into frothy markets. In the current markets, gold, silver, precious metals, real estate, everything is inflated and everything's expensive. So just be careful. I wish I had better specific advice for you right now, but I don't. Optimize your income, live beneath your means, and let's watch for the major shifts happening in both the economy and the career world as we look ahead. Thanks for joining me at the table. We'll talk more about financial independence, the things that got us here, and the concepts of life that we've observed along the way to help us get here in the episodes to come.